Hello friends, it's Anton with you and you're on the Blackroom channel. In this video, I'll show you and tell you everything I know about our amazing project. Finalist in the CEDIA Awards 2024, highly commended, which means it almost won the competition, the Millennium project. Let's go! A universal placement for entertainment. We took an entire area and integrated it into a huge space. We drilled through the ceiling.
The number of views in our home theater is increasing, and here you get it. The effect is not any less, and in some moments it's even better because it's personalized.
This is such a wonderful large space. Friends, we initially had 90.5 square meters here in order to implement the client's ideas. And of course, all our engineering efforts went into creating the ultimate high performance, as we say, meaning a very high performance, powerful media room capable of a lot. Media Zone is a space that serves not only for watching movies, but also for various other events, organizing various kinds of events, hosting, celebrations, and other activities that are related to relaxation and entertainment in the basement areas of private homes in our Moscow region. Let me show you the room. This space is really big. Imagine 90 square meters, and it's all except for a small part. Over there in that corner, it's dedicated to a universal place for entertainment. About half of this space, or even a bit more, is taken up by the media room. That's exactly what the media room occupies. That media space, which we designed and implemented here very carefully and in detail. We are located in the Millennium Park cottage community, which is in New Riga. And here we have a really cool Dolby Atmos sound system. This features 4 Blackroom audio subwoofers and an Alcon's audio sound system. However, in this media room, things are not that simple. And it started out as a true reference private cinema with a format of 9, 1, 6, and 4 subwoofers. The same Alcon's audio system plus our Blackroom audio subwoofers. This space, somewhere around here, was supposed to be separated. So we had about 37 square meters of finished floor surface left. And this was a true reference home cinema. We even completed the project, but let me just tell you the story of how it all ended up as one big media space. So, somewhere. I'm not going to actually recall the dates and so on. So a client came to us. We had long negotiations. The client was quite demanding. He visited almost all the showrooms he could find and reach in Moscow. And every time, he still came back to us. Our showroom is on Rybinskaya over there where we are. Our wonderful system, Alcon's audio, 4 subwoofers. And in the end, we started the design. And we designed a true reference cinema right here in this half space. And the client even built the wall here with his own efforts with the help of his builders. Client picked up the project. Acoustics improved. So when the client came to pick up the project, you see, yes, my voice changes when I enter the media space. The echo becomes less. The acoustics of the room are significantly more pleasant. Why? Well, because there is indeed acoustic treatment here. It's designed so that this area is as pleasant and high quality as possible, so you can enjoy it to the fullest. This is where you watch movies, series, and other media entertainment to a range. And the pleasant surprise for me personally was that the client came to the project acceptance with his father. In fact, the father is the head of the family, and it turned out that he was my subscriber almost since the very beginning of my YouTube channel. Mikhail Yurievich is a very enthusiastic person. A lot. He watches YouTube channels, and when the owners were building their house, they of course absorbed information very thoroughly. And they were actually deeply involved in the process of constructing and finishing this beautiful house in a modern style. So I was doubly happy that we had already created a great cinema project by that time. And just like that, we were about to start implementing it. I'm standing right here now and I see this screen that could have been here. You can see right now actually the visualizations of that cinema room, which apparently is never meant to be built. However, we have a ready-made cinema project. If anything, you can basically just take it and replicate it in such a space. Although we have such projects, to be honest, there's a whole stack of these books lying in the office. So basically there are a lot of templates, but look at what happened next. Unfortunately, the events that everyone knows about happened next. February 2022, the economic crisis that followed, and there were a lot of construction projects, a lot of different supply chains. It was disrupted. And this project, among others, was put on hold, unfortunately. But after a few months, when things started to pick up again and people needed to finish their house, they had been planning this for a long time, investing time, resources, and money. And the process resumed, but the client's opinion and desires changed, meaning the goals for that space changed. Because the client has small children who are growing up, it's important for them to have a place to have fun and space to meet friends. And so, the reference cinema room, no matter how much they wanted it for the family, they felt it would be much more appropriate to create a single universal space for hangouts. And at the same time, to keep the functionality for watching movies, series, and favorite films. And they started going back to all the showrooms. They had to choose something more budget-friendly because of the crisis, the economic situation. Budgets got tighter, and supplies, accordingly, were limited. Well, in general, the situation has changed drastically. Nevertheless, they went around the showrooms again and didn't hear anything reasonable. And I suggested to them basically to install the exact same Alcon's audio system, just a bit optimized in this media room. Well, because I personally don't know of any other equipment like that can provide such pleasant, clear sound for that price and be capable of playing so loudly. Roughly speaking, yes, with such a good dynamic, serve, you can play any material at all. Whether it's a multi-channel track in Dolby Atmos or even just stereo music, in the end we shook hands, the equipment was on its way, and we got started. Redesigning this space together with the local designer Alina. This is the design that you see right now. Right now on the screen we have visualizations of the space as it was envisioned. Of course, we were very actively involved in this design, so that, as usual, we do this. It adapted and became as technically savvy as possible, not to mention being nice looking, fitting in, and creating a unified space, so that we could place the Alcon's audio system, Dolby Atmos, and 4 subwoofers here as efficiently as possible. The only thing is that here we don't have a classic setup, but rather one with wide channels. So we don't have rear channels, because you see, well, in that space, there's just no place to put the rear surround channels. So we have the classic side channels of the ambience, the surrounds, and the white channels. And here's such an elegant solution. We came up with a way to hide all the acoustics. Again, yes, well, we always love to hide everything. So why would you want to create something that looks stylish and cool? And there's a speaker hanging on the wall. Well, why not hide it if you can? That's why we came up with these modern-looking pilasters. Look, right away with a turn towards the audience area. And why the turn? It makes sense. There's a wide channel here. Here we have Alcon's audio, in-wall, the flattest little speaker. Now you see how it looks without the grill. Without the grill removed, we'll also take off the grill on the surround there. It definitely comes off there. I even took some photos and now you can see them. So basically what the clients had to tear down a wall that had already been built for the cinema. It was sad, depressing. Well, a decision was made and construction actually began. A decision was made again to optimize everything financially. So the clients chose the contractor themselves who would handle the soundproofing there. At one of the stages we got involved and laid out all the communications because our equipment is set up over there in the designated room. We'll definitely go in, the so-called server room. By the way, at the client's place, this room is combined. There will be a cabinet and a safe for weapons there. So far I haven't seen it there. But overall it's a space where the equipment fits in really well. The door closed, you can't hear it. The soundproofing was done by Acoustic, I think. There's a floating floor and ceiling, but with 2 different levels of soundproofing. Here in the media room they used a thicker layer, and in the meeting area and bar, the soundproofing is done thinner. Here in the media room I think they made the pie a little thicker. And in the area, where we just have the meeting space, guests and the bar, the soundproofing is done thinner. So that was the decision that was made. We were not globally involved in the selection of solutions here, and the contractor was simply on contract. As acoustic consultants, we were just coordinating the decisions, so to speak. but we did it completely for free. This is the second time we haven't charged for the project because, well, it's a strange situation when we're doing a project, doing it a bit differently, and we ended up creating a significantly trimmed down version of the project to ensure that the necessary materials were included in order to properly run all the communications. But still, a 3D model and a basic set of drawings were created. Right now you're seeing some screenshots and screencast. So this is how I show what the 3D model of this media space actually looks like, which I really like. This story is about how we really just took an entire area and integrated it into a huge space. And these two lines of half columns with beveled edges, they are symmetrically arranged and incorporate technology. Here, for example, is the right surround channel. It's turned as perfectly as possible towards the audience area. Here is one of the rear subwoofers. Yeah, if we only place the subwoofers at the front with two behind the screen. Without subwoofers at the back, there was nowhere else to put them. Integrating with half columns was the only way. That's why we added two more 15-inch subwoofers. But if we hadn't placed the subwoofers at the back as well, there really wasn't anywhere else to put them. I mean, there's design everywhere, there's a hangout area, and there's already a kitchen. So, aside from integrating them with our half columns, there was no other way to position them. So we also placed two more 15-inch subwoofers there. Oh my god, yes, how do they help us do that? Here in this area, there's a nice rich bass. And also the subwoofers are very fast because of our feedback. Let's try to remove one of the grills here now. As far as I remember, it's done quite easily. And actually we see one of the surround sound systems. This is the Alcon's Audio CRMS C-in-Wall 120. That's what it's called. So, this waveguide has a 120-degree horizontal dispersion and a 90-degree vertical dispersion. This is a versatile sound system that works great for ceiling channels and for the surround channels, especially where the listening area is quite close to cover it all. Such dispersion is very useful. And here are the subwoofers. Let me do it just for the video. And you can't do it? Well, actually, our grill mounting system is designed for that, so that it can be easily opened and serviced. God forbid something happens. Usually nothing happens, of course. But nevertheless, if something were to happen, the kids took it and damaged the fabric, but it can always be removed. Reupholster it, and it will be as good as new. You see what interesting, beautiful beveled edges. As far as I remember, this was actually my idea to place it like this here. I participate less and less. Of course, in creating specific solutions, I only approve them at the design stage. But this one, I remember that I was actively involved here. I was really rooting for this project because the clients were very dear and pleasant to me. And I wanted to get the absolute maximum out of this space. Let's wrap up the topic of acoustic design. What else is working for it here? Well, even if we look at the back part of the room, you can see these little channels. It's basically a diffuser. Yes, there's no absorption behind them at all, but as sound diffusing surfaces, they work quite well. It's much better than leaving the walls just bare or flat. We don't have a carpet here, because now we have a drum set here and there's a lounge chair over there. You can put a lot more things here and there. I don't know, maybe gather a group, actually practice, train. So, owner's son is playing the drums here, and they say you can't hear anything from upstairs. Well, the soundproofing is done, there's an acoustic door at the entrance, everything is done scientifically. Here in the media zone, yeah, well, I'm entering again, and my voice changes again, which is good. Our walls aren't too thick. The decision was deliberately a compromise. We knew that the open back part of this space was inevitable. We're faced with various acoustic limitations. We can't achieve perfect sound here. We can't stretch it out. Well, just because it flies off in that direction, and even if it gets a little scattered somewhere, after reflecting off the walls, spreading out and breaking up from these channels, it will still come back. And the overall impression, the cohesive impression of the sound, as it can be in a real home theater, will be somewhat spoiled. So here we also decided to go overboard. We only used absorbing panels, and behind these acoustic fabric grills, there's acoustically transparent fabric. And in certain amounts, in specific places, there's just absorbing material. And it's not very thick, not 10 centimeters, a bit thinner, I think it's around 5 centimeters. And that's necessary and sufficient to bring the acoustics here to a normal effect. Well, right now I'm standing here, talking, and I can actually hear the reflection coming back to me from the kitchen. Of course, we could have put in some effort in the kitchen, come up with something, but this is more of a practical space for twos for the media zone. And the goal here wasn't to eliminate all compromises at any cost. No, the budget, of course, was limited. And it was important to make it look like in the picture, and it was important to squeeze out every bit from this. And that's exactly what we did. What else affects the acoustics of the room? Of course, the wall behind the screen is completely covered with a good thick layer of sound absorption, which is upholstered with carpet. Everything is done scientifically, basically how we usually do it in any cinema. On the ceiling is a starry sky, but it's not made using our classic modular technology. It's a more budget-friendly option. The stretch fabric, which is practically not sound transparent, also has sound-absorbing panels and materials placed behind it, so that even some frequencies that still penetrate through this fabric, they didn't bounce back, they were absorbed. And of course the carpet that I recommended from the very beginning, and even insisted on, you could say, from the client, to make sure it was definitely included here. It's a good carpet. I don't know the manufacturer here. I don't really remember, but the client ordered it themselves. They trimmed it. This is a piece of carpet, just a good, dense, natural viscose one that's laid out here. And it also adds a lot of pleasure to the acoustic design of this media zone. And of course, a soft sofa. The clients also chose the sofa. In the visualizations, I don't think it's the one that's there, but I could be mistaken. But this is the sofa that they liked, that they find comfortable. It's a lounge with backs that can move. All these backs can be moved forward, so you can just sit comfortably or climb onto it. You can put your feet up here, cover yourself with a blanket if it gets cold, and place a cushion behind your back. So everything here, well, basically it spins and moves back and forth, but let's not waste time on that right now. And there's this poof table that also found its place in a really great spot for the first reflections from the center channel. And it also has a purely positive effect on the sound quality. Well, there's one more thing that I personally regret, but it's a normal solution for any media room. When the projector is just hanging, so to speak, above your head in an open space, in this same volume, the room, it actually shines on the screen with you. Of course, it makes a certain sound from the fans. Here we have the JVC NZ8 projector, a laser projector, with 2500 lumens of brightness and a screen. Screen excellence, if I'm not mistaken, is 170 inches, and if I'm wrong, I'll always correct it in the comments. 170 inches wide, and the gain factor, I think, is 0.95. It has, that is, well, and of course I want it a little brighter, but again, the budget, again, the media room. And when the lights are out, this brightness is quite enough here. I don't remember how many nits we ended up with, but I'll provide all these details in the credits for you, because of course, when we submitted this project for the CEDIA Awards, we conducted all the necessary measurements, we made calibration reports, so all this data is available. Well, the submission of the project for the competition, this is a separate piece of work. It's a separate project, you could even say. And how many man-hours? I keep trying to calculate it, but every time I forget. But in general, a lot of man-hours go into it, let's say probably about 2 weeks for sure, not counting the roads or anything like that. It takes time to properly prepare everything needed, write the essay, do professional photo and video shoots, and record all the interfaces as well as the calibration reports. And all of this needs to be presented in a competent manner for the jury of the CEDIA Awards competition. The only thing I didn't mention is probably the ceiling channels. Well, actually they are exactly the same as these, and they're located pretty much the same way. Only the ceiling, right behind those grills, right now on the 3D model of the cinema hall, the 3D model of the media room, you can see how they are positioned. They are also turned towards the center as much as possible, just in case, to ensure that the sound covers the entire listening area as evenly as possible, so that everyone can see and hear everything happening on the screen as well as possible. He talked about the fronts. By the way, here we spread them out wider to create the ideal or close to ideal 60 degrees for listening to music from the central spot. So the left channel is located, for example, right here. I can even feel it through the fabric. This upper frequency section, the CRMS Compact, is fully functional, just like the speakers we have in our showroom. The front central channel, which, if I'm not mistaken, is on biamp because it remains free. An additional amplification channel, and actually all 4 ceiling channels are elegantly hidden in the same way. In these places, just like the surround. wide channels. All of this is managed by the RCAM processor. Since the budget was cut, the project originally included 3 Novi Altitude 16. We have the RCAM here, from which we also squeezed out every bit of juice. Yeah, it's definitely not the 3 Nova. It doesn't allow for as many detailed adjustments on each channel as I would personally like. We had a bit of a struggle with it. Its firmware updates, that's a whole different story. And those who know how RCAM devices behave will understand me. But nevertheless, all the questions and problems were resolved, and squeezed out the maximum juice from it. We conducted a full HAA audio calibration here, which took us at least 2 days. Regarding the lighting, all the lighting is connected to a single smart home system, which is based on KNX equipment. Finconex is used here. It's an Italian brand. Specifically for the media zone, let me tell you how many we have. One LED zone, the second LED zone lights up the half columns, standing on this side, the third is the ceiling spots, and the fourth is the starry sky. And 5 is this line of LED backlighting in the middle of the room. So that's 5 groups of lighting. They are all controlled, of course, with a unified control system using an iPad. And here, we have the button panel that's located at the entrance to the media room. And of course, there is a forced ventilation and air conditioning system here. All of this is also connected to the smart home. The thermostats are also controlled either from the panels at the entrance or from the iPad. And of course, the client has an interface on both the phone and the iPad, so that you can control the entire house right from here. We have a separate control system for the cinema room based on the RTI XP6 controller. Everything here is managed by SARTA, and the client specifically requested that this area not be connected and that we don't overlap with their zone. Shout out to the guys who worked on the smart home. Anton, hello to you. Decided to split up by the zone of the gateway to which we send the lighting control signals. We control everything inside media zona, and we send the lighting signals to the external gateway, which then controls everything in the house via KNX. If we think back to some of the challenges and pitfalls we faced here, one of them was that no one could remember if the guys had done it. For sound insulation, we installed a plywood backing for the projector so that it could be safely mounted on a standard bracket. So just in case we drilled through the ceiling for the projector, it was secured with at least one bolt directly to the concrete base of the ceiling. This was done as a precaution. Most likely there is plywood there. In the end, however, it was done as a precaution. And one of the points I already mentioned is about our RCAM processor. It was making a loud clicking sound in some speakers when switching between different codecs. There was an earth loop that we found, moved and recalibrated Dirac. These 2 points completely eliminated system from that bug. So what now? Let's go. Take a look at the server room where the equipment rack is located. You'll see the kitchen area just now in the footage. So what's there to show? It's just a cool bar counter with leather bar stools where it's nice to sit and have a drink while watching your favorite show from a distance. And there's also an electronic dartboard hanging on the wall. And overall, you can also set up football and ping pong here. I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff. You could even set up a small billiard table. By the way, that's a good idea. We need to suggest it to the client. Let's go. Everything is set up. By the way, I didn't show you the control interface. It's quite simple, but there are currently 2 main sources here. Then we also want to add karaoke, but right now there are 2 sources, Apple TV and Dune on Dune. There are also media storage units there. When you press any of the sources, we're turning on the system, our standard Blackroom interface. But the door at the entrance isn't just any door, it's a safe door. Why is that? Because there, among other things, weapons will be stored. And so from top to bottom, I guess I'll turn off the system to reduce the noise from the fans. We have network equipment here, Blackroom plug. How could we do without it? 2 multi-channel amplifiers, 12-channel for the multi-room system. I completely forgot to mention that here, in this house, we also set up a multi-room audio system. And we take on projects like these. There's a cinema room, well, or a media room like this. So keep that in mind. We won't be doing a separate multi-room. Not interesting. It's not our profile, but along with the cinema room, there are no problems. Next, this is the audio. This is exactly the multi-room we were talking about. These are multi-zone players. They are connected to parasound amplifiers and provide multimedia sound throughout the entire house, even including the gazebo in the yard. You can stream directly from your phone to them and go there to adjust the volume. It's very convenient, cool, and now we move on to the equipment of our wonderful media zone. These are 3 Sentinel 3 amplifiers that power the entire Alcon's audio system, audio-video processor, that's the Synology storage. I don't remember how many terabytes, but it's quite a lot. RS1221 plus for those. Interested, the 2 sources, Dune and Apple TV 4K. And down below, everything is very simple, as usual. 2-channel, Blackroom audio amplifiers to power 4 subwoofers, and the uninterruptible power supply and everything else is also our cinema room classic. And somewhere in there, yeah, by the way, I made a mistake, I said it wrong. We have the XP3 control system controller RTI XP3. It's a small one, so it's just sitting on the shelf there. So this is the entire rack. And here it stands perfectly. It's cooled by a separate split system, and it all works really well. Oh, the safe, there it is, standing like a log. I didn't notice it with my own eyes. Here is a wonderful Class 1 safe, and Class 1 is specifically for firearms. Apparently it stores hunting rifles. We've ended up with such a spectacular media room in Blackroom, and it has been highly appreciated in England, in London. All my colleagues told me, yes, consider that you've basically won since you were nominated. Highly commended means a high mark, high praise. The project that won was completely mind-blowing and crazy, with very expensive designer solutions with some retractable projectors. In general, it surpassed in the number of features and some solutions that were woven into it. This is all this wonderful grandeur. I actually placed a bet because we submitted 2 projects this year. This is the Agalarov project. Greyhaven, it's called the Millennium project. I was betting that with this project we had every chance of winning in the best media room category. But in the end, we took an honorable 2nd place. And it was actually the Greyhaven project or the Agalarov project that won. And you know, what's the funniest part? The Greyhaven project beat another Russian company that had a home theater project, a cinema hall, also in the Millennium community. Such is the intricate twist of fate. That's how the universe works, friends. Well, I guess I should add a couple of words about the money, about budget of this project. Unfortunately, I didn't have all the numbers. Initially, I had to gather them, because some aspects of this room were not done by us. We weren't the general contractor on this project, but scraping. I gathered information from various sources, and I found that the room itself, its creation, its construction cost about 135,000 euros. The equipment that was supplied here, the audio-video equipment we installed, all of it cost about 130,000 euros. So draw your own conclusions. To create such beauty on 90 square meters with an ultimate audio-video system costs about this much money. Yes, it's a very high-performance audio system. It's almost a top-of-the-line projector and great top-quality screen. But nevertheless, you can easily spend twice as much. If you use some super brands, some line arrays and so on. This is an optimal system, but it's really cool, amazing, and has a huge potential for the future. And now I have a little surprise for you. Let's call the owner. Friends, I present to you the owner of this wonderful media room, Mikhail Yurievich. Mikhail Yurievich, thank you. Thank you for agreeing to give a few comments. To answer a couple of questions, Mikhail Yurievich is that very subscriber. I already shared with the guys today that I was actually surprised when we came to accept the project with my son, and it turned out that you are actually my longtime subscriber. It was terrible but pleasant. Can you briefly tell us how all of this happened and how you decided to reach out to us to do this project in the first place?
While planning, we chose Black, led by Anton, for his clear and impressive YouTube presentations. The project is specifically for a cinema hall, a full-format professional one. Naturally, we considered a number of companies, and since we had been watching and following Anton on YouTube, this was not just because of the way the material was presented. Everything was very clear from a professional standpoint. The construction of the cinema is presented very clearly, especially regarding the image on the screen and the acoustics, which is very important and fundamental. And I believe that in principle, for how many years we watched this, we tracked it and then decided to implement it in our home. And of course, the presentation of the material, their attitude, the professional approach of the company Blackroom, led by Anton. That's really great. It pushed us to finalize, so to speak, the contract for the design, a complete design of the cinema system with a full Dolby Atmos system and so on. Anton can elaborate on this.
I've already shared this whole story, yes, and how later, unfortunately, we had to redo the entire thing. And you actually changed the goal, right? You decided to make this space bigger. You made it. You decided to make it universal for the others. And I'm very curious too. So, how often do you use it yourself now? And what scenarios do you usually have here? Well, how many times? Roughly speaking, I don't know. Someone comes down here and does something each month.
Well, if we look at it monthly right now, during this winter season, the number of viewings in our home theater definitely increases indeed, because it's a bit different in the summer. Now, on weekends, the kids are here watching full-length animated movies. We, adults, of course, watch. And we listen to music, not just watch. We listen to very good music, like concert performances, yes, concert programs from well-known global artists and so on. So I believe that it is fully utilized. Moreover, we aimed for versatility, yes, so that there would be mobility in terms of seating, yes, so that it can be used clearly. The task was not easy because of the professional approach of the company Blackroom, of course. They are very meticulous about all issues related to sound absorption, sound insulation, and so on. So, presence of any unnecessary items that could affect the acoustics is also something the company is very careful about. From the professionals who fully designed this cinema, the cinema hall, and its professional equipment. As I said, a big screen, almost 4 meters. Do you have more of it? Even more than 4 meters with built-in ceiling acoustics? Yes. A full Dolby Atmos. It's indeed a very serious system, which, to be extremely honest, when we actually arrived at Anton's showroom was one of the first. Yes, then we came back a second time. Basically, well, it's worth listening and watching once on a good device, meaning with good sound quality. The image, of course, is no less impressive than the big cinemas we're used to. And here, this is your personal cinema, and here you get, the effect is not at all lower, and in some moments it's even better because it's personalized. So it keeps you with positive emotions. This is how we have it.
Super. What would you possibly change if you were to redo this entire space now?
In this entire room, I think in terms of the room itself, we probably wouldn't change much. We say right away that with the company Blackroom and Anton, we discussed the possibility of expanding the system. Yes, so we took an intermediate option. Well, I would say the second to last one can be expanded to increase the amount of necessary equipment that would further improve the sound, meaning to transmit sound at a higher level. As they say, I don't know, we are satisfied with it, but there are, in principle, heights available.
I won't be satisfied with that anymore as a calibrator. Yes, I could fine-tune all of this even more, for example, just by changing one processor.
Overall, we really like all of this. Moreover, this is the older son. What prompted me to do this, I was, of course, observing. So, the decision made. So we really want to build a cinema hall, use the space there, and so on. And so we, to know each other, it's been probably 3 years, even more, since we personally got acquainted. And, as they say, we are happy about it. So it's an unforgettable experience. If there's such an opportunity, I would recommend it to everyone because there are different systems. The company Blackroom can offer different variations. I mean, in terms of the budget and everything else, to take a look at it. So from my side as a consumer, I recommend doing this.
Friends, if you want to hear and feel everything we're discussing right now with Mikhail Miryunyevich, about the showroom, about the emotions you can really just sit down and experience during a real test drive, then leave a request as well. All the contacts for the Blackroom company will be in the description. Come visit us, we'll seat you in the advertiser's chair, play some demo videos, you'll enjoy it, and then you'll say, thank you so much. And I congratulate you on the high rating in London for our joint project, and thank you for your trust.
I congratulate the company Blackroom led by you. Thank you, Mikhail Yuryevich.
Thank you very much. Friends, this is where we wrap up. We've never had such a cool review in any of our overviews, so definitely give us a thumbs up, leave comments if you still have any. Mikhail Yuryevich, I am sure. He will participate in the comments and will be able to give you some direct feedback. Well, of course, I will gladly share all the remaining details if I happen to forget to mention them in this video. And be sure to subscribe to the Blackroom channel so you don't miss out on such exclusive content from real private cinemas. With a very good, confident budget, with really cool professional equipment, and of course such versatile spaces and media rooms that are highly rated in London at the CEDIA Awards competition. Goodbye, everyone. See you in the new videos.
Yes, I would like to add from my perspective as a consumer, because that channel that Anton runs on YouTube is very informative, very useful. Because even if you have some doubts or misunderstandings, you can listen to a professional from the perspective of sound, image, what requirements there are, what rough edges exist, and how to overcome them. So it's a very useful channel, and through it you gain understanding and the desire to equip your home theater.
So friends, let's watch, subscribe, give us likes, and recommend us, friends.